One thing I did want to call it also, though, about the Blue Zone, and I like what they're doing. I like what they've done. I've listened to a few interviews with Mr. Buettner, but one thing I would call out, and I think this happens in every movement, is that it gets hijacked by ideology. They really omit and harp on the plant-based nature of these blue zones. And he talks about how, yes, we observed meat eating in these cultures, but in our programs across the United States of America, we took that out. So they do add in this level of ideology around plant-based veganism and removing out those foods, whereas they are present in many of the different blue zones across the world. Now, of course, they weren't eating McDonald's burgers and whatnot, but they were eating meat, just not a good amount, not a large amount of it. That's what it appears like. Anywhere from like 5% of their diet was meat based, which it is pretty small, I'll admit. But like, I don't want to get that conflated with, well, that's the reason why. Like, there's so many different reasons as to their longevity, and it's not just because they never ate hamburgers, right? That's too simplistic of a way to look at it. And in fact, I fact checked him in real time walking, because he started talking about how, well, you don't need meat anyways, because you can get the same amount of protein, if not more, in spinach when compared to beef. And I just like using ChatGPT is like, I gotta fact check this shit. Completely false. The guy's completely false in that claim. And even the guy that was interviewing him like pushed back about like, hey, actually, I don't think that's accurate. And it was an uncomfortable interview after that point for a segment of time. So I think I wouldn't let that detract from all the good information that they've come up with, but I wouldn't be so swayed by that ideology of that, like, because they're clearly pushing a narrative, meat is bad, and that's not the case. It's not. They did a lot less in many different things also, like in terms of how much calories they consumed every day, how much pollution, like all the things that we just aforementioned. So, just be wary of anybody that I think draws these really stark conclusions based off of a lot of different factors, because a lot of times what will happen is the gravity of it will be swayed by certain narratives or agendas that they're trying to push consciously or unconsciously. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I just think that he definitely has a bias, and that should be called out and understood.